welcome to the channel. It's a lovely morning. It's Simon here again, and we got a mixed video for you today. Contains some logging, snowmobiling, another fire. I know a few of you like the fire. We had to go on a rescue. Now, why? Well, it all happened too quick, that's why I didn't film it, but you'll see the aftermath. For something that got delivered to the wrong place at the wrong time by the wrong vehicle, and possibly an inexperienced driver. And then we got something really different to do inside in somebody's kitchen. It's going to make her very happy. So we're off to the forest to carry on logging. We got lovely fresh snow. It's very cold out this morning, and yeah, it should be a good day. I'm up to there. So that's where we had the big fire, just in there. And I've come through here this morning. I haven't set the phone up because it's too cold, it'll just kill the battery. Anyway, there you go, another lot of sticks. Sticks! Seems to be the order through here. Takes a long time, 6 hours that's taken to get through there. And that's not my only load, I had half a load. So I've got 1.5 loads in 6 hours. Not efficient, I think you'll agree. Anyway, forest is looking stunning, and I've left all the big ones. So I haven't taken out all the small ones. I've just thinned through, taken out all the small pine that we don't want there. That's going to be too close, and we're heading off down this way. So there we go. Right, let's get this lot back in the yard. I hope my battery don't run out. I'm going to answer a few questions that have been asked, which are really obvious if you live and work in this area and you use what I do. But if you're sat at home watching this, which you all are, it might not be so obvious. So one of the questions was from Dave. Why don't I have a pole crane on this? Well, let me go through the scenario. Firstly, the only place you could put a pole crane where it's going to work is up the front. And at the front is the tow carriage, and that cannot support a pole crane. And if I was to plate it and adapt it to make it hold a pole crane, the pole crane would have to be strapped to the carriage at all times. Otherwise, when you're going through the forest, it tips over. And I'll tell you how I know in a minute. Right, and then we're going to get to the whole tipping over. So now let's make the assumption is we've changed things at the front there in order to support a pole crane. That's now putting more stress on the front carriage and the rear of the snowmobile, and we've got to be very conscious about not turning this over when it's empty. So now we've got an empty carriage, an empty sled, and we're going to pick up our first log. And the pole crane's on the front, and this big arm is going to come out to the side, and we're going to lower down the hook and lower down the winch, and we're going to start to winch it up. And the first thing that's going to happen is the sled and the pole is going to tip over. It's not going to work. So then we say, well, bring the log closer. Well, by the time I've tugged it through the snow, I've lifted it onto the carriage. That's why I've never tried to adapt this sledge for any kind of pole, because if I can get the sledge or the log to this, I can lift it on. Now, where I can't, when you're cutting the big stuff, Well, that makes things a lot easier because generally there's lots of trees. So what I did a few years ago was I skidded with the snowmobile all the big logs into one pile between two huge trees and made sure I could get the snowmobile and the sled before it. And I hooked up 2 strap anchor points round the trees and I literally just picked them up with a ratchet strap and put them back down. Easy. So that's how I do that, and that's why I don't have a pole crane on here. I did make something and I have the same problem, and I'll show you that. Now this was all done pre-channel and you can't see much of it, but that there, what you can see sticking out, I made, and that is on a big swivel with a big handle, and it sits on a single sled, and I can pick up something quite heavy with that, one end at a time. Now the problem with that is if you're picking up one end at a time, once you've got one end on the sled, you then have to pull that sled manually to the other end to lift the other end on. Nah. It's too much. If I had a nice big tractor and big trailer with a crane, would I use that? Yeah, but you destroy the forest. You're right back to where you started from. The reason that these companies, these logging companies, use these huge machines is because they're efficient. But they're efficient at clear cutting, not first thinnings. I've seen people with much smaller machines going in for first thinnings, right? And you still have to cut your way through a track, but it is quite efficient, but it has to be small. It's for the small landowner. So that kind of answers why I don't have a pole crane on my sled. We can see again there. It isn't going to work for me in this application. There are lots of pole cranes on sleds and trailers, purpose built, but I've got to adapt that, and as you can see that with the lengths I'm cutting, and it's not really applicable on first thinnings because they're so small. Some of the big stuff is, but then I have to gear up differently. So that's the reason, Dave, I don't have a pole crane on this sled, is because I'm geared up for first thinnings on there, and when I go in for the big stuff, and that over there, that's not big. But when I go in for the big stuff, I gear differently. Still use a snowmobile, still use the same sled, but I take a whole load of different equipment, and then I plan my loading area either between trees or so that I can get that little crane in there so that I can lift them up. And that kind of logging's much more efficient for me because I'm bringing in a huge amount of lumber at any one time. I can get 6 full-size trees or full-size bases, 5 metres, and it's efficient. But I'm first thinnings for firewood. It's just not applicable in this instant. Anyway, it's Sunday. That's the first full load I got in. I've got another half load. You saw me unload that. I've had enough. That's it for today. It's yeah, done. I'm going to preempt the next question. Why am I unloading the sled by hand when I can just use the forklift and pick it up and take it off? There's a tractor in there. It's got its bucket on. It's too cold. She won't start. She needs an hour of heat. That's an hour of cost. That's an hour of electricity. Then I've got to take it out, take the bucket off. Then I've got to put the forks on. Then I've got to unload that. Then I've got to take the forks off, put the bucket on, put the tractor back in there, and I've used diesel and electricity. And I've got muscles for free. And time. Sunday. What else am I going to be doing other than firewood? So that's just preempting that. If she's out, warm, the forks are on, yeah, definitely. If it's heavy, definitely, although I can roll the heavy ones off and then just pick it all up in one go. But when it's like this, no, it's going to cost me electric and diesel just to unload that, which I can do in under 5 minutes by hand. It's no big deal. So you have to work with the temperatures, the snow depth, everything, daylight, and everything changes, which is why sometimes I'm doing stuff and you're thinking, well, why is he doing it like that? Well, behind the camera, which you can't see, there's a reason. It's too cold, it's too warm, it's too dark, it's too light, the snow's too hard, it's too soft, there's ice, there's melting, my back's hurting, or I'm having coffee. Oh, good idea. We've just got to go and rescue this lorry from down a steep drive in a house with ice, and it was stuck. And yeah, she had nothing to unstick it with. And fortunately, what I was supposed to be picking up from this lorry, which went to the wrong place, long story, right, it had a pallet on board, and I told her to give me the pallet. So I broke up the pallet, and she's wondering about the nails, the spicks sticking out, so I turned the spicks down. Anyway, we got it out. Just don't go near the edge again. Oh, nay. Nay. Anyway, we're approaching the main road now, so she should be all right. So that's the end of that. So I'm stood on one of my trails here, and the snow to the side is 2 feet higher than the trail, which means I've compacted the trail by 2 feet, and we've lost most of our snow depth because of this funny heat. And then that there, that's 2 feet down there below the level of here. So where it's fresh, that's 4 feet deep. And somebody left a comment for me, somebody who should know better, to be honest. The snow doesn't look deep enough to wear snowshoes. Well, I don't wear them just to trip myself up and make everything more dangerous. When I'm on fresh snow, it's 4 feet deep. I can't walk in 4 feet of snow. When I'm on the trails, I can walk. And we've got a load more snow forecast, so we could go back up to 5 feet. Well, that's, you know, I can't do that. A moose can do that, just about, but I can't do that. Anyway, what I do want to show you is, and what I'm doing is I'm building localised fires. That black thing over there, that's where we had the other fire. So we're really quite close. And this way, I don't have to haul all the tops that I'm not taking around. Cause myself a load more work. Let me show you what I've been doing for the last 2 days. There's my good girl, look. And my flask has got snow on it. Everybody's got snow on it. So this is where I've been working, and for the last 2 days I've worked about 20 feet all the way through there, and I'll show you what that looks like now. You see, the more I cut, the more I can see. All that over there, that beautiful birch forest, that's everything I did last season. So this is probably far back as that fur there, and I've done all the way through here. And I've done all the way through here last couple of days. This was where my main trail went down there. I put this one in. I don't know if I can walk on this without snowshoes. And so there's parts of it. I've got another trail running off up here. You can see I'm right the way back to the boundary of the property. Those tall trees up there, they're the boundary. and I'm quite a ways down. I've abandoned my log sled over there because once I'm done with this, I'm away. You can still see the impressions I'm making even with snowshoes. So you couldn't walk up there just without them, because I'd be over my knees, easily over my knees, maybe deeper. So everything that's left standing stays standing now, and then I'll come back. You can just see one of my other trails going off up the hill there. So I've done all across through here. There's still patches where I've not got into yet. And all of this I did, I think, the year before last. So you can see once you've cleared it out, right, and these birch would have been too small to cut when I done it, and I want to leave some big ones anyway, but how quickly they start to expand and grow, or as quickly as they can in this region. Nothing happens too quick in this region. I've still got to get through there. This one pains me. I'm getting in there slowly, but I've got to tear into that because that's way too dense. And then the other thing I just want to quickly address is where I took that big fir down from in here, and then we had the fire. This is the biggest hole I've opened up in this entire area, and that was just one tree occupying that. So what we've got here mainly is fir. What I want is pine. So there's a lot of fir, but there's not much pine, and pine, there's a little one there that I've left. It's a similar species, and the pine communicates with the fir equally as well and with the birch. And the forest behind me, that's all pine, and the forest in front of me is all pine, because fir is a much lower grade timber. It's very knotty, it's very sappy, it's not very good for building with, it's not very good for a lot of things. So in the late spring, I'm going to plant this area up. I don't know if I'm going to put a fence around it yet, because the moose, they just love the tips, and that one there is a great example. Right there, you see the tip's been taken out. So anyway, I want to plant this up with pine, because there's not enough pine here, and I think that's it. I don't even know what day it is or how long, but I do know the weather's quite favourable. I think it's only been 7 or 8 degrees below freezing today, so it's a nice day for working. Anyway, that's the fire done, and we can move on and finish the day fitting an oven. That's the finish of the day. So there's something wrong with the GPS on certain systems. Certain people who use certain systems, they deliver my stuff to a different house, who knows what house it is, in a different village entirely. So I got a phone call, the lorry driver saying, you know, I'm here. Dropped the sled, went straight back to the yard where there was no lorry. Well, then I guessed. I jumped in the van, went across the river to the other village, and to the house where they always deliver my stuff, this GPS thing. And lo and behold, there was the post lorry stuck right down the bottom of the drive. She'd gone down forwards, right, you don't want to do that, and then nosed into a snowbank. Well, that was that, and she was loaded with all her weight to the front. Anyway, took about an hour to get it out. I got it out in the end, broke up a pallet and put it under the wheels, and you know, we're out and done. Yeah, oven, that's what we've got to do now. Next, go and fit an oven. Now what I've got to hope is that phone that's recording us doesn't fall off the tripod, because that's my newest and my latest tripod. Did it snap this afternoon, having been sat there recording that fire in extreme cold temperatures? Yes, it did. The top snapped clean off. Well, there's a surprise. Everything breaks sooner or later. And I haven't got time to stop and repair that. I've got to get this oven replaced so that we make sure we've got it fitted and it's all working for when her ladyship arrives, because if it isn't, my head will roll. Not as much as it will roll if she knew I was stood here in our kitchen in my boots. That's not good. I'm pretty sure we'll take my microwave out first, haven't we? Oh, I don't have to take my microwave out first. Don't I remember it being plugged in above? It's got to be plugged in behind there somehow. Oh, handles. That's handy, Harry. Now, we've got to get that out. Cut the little magnetic horsey thing off. That's heavy. That is heavy. Who knew? I could have just slid that off, couldn't I? Why are you doing that, Simon? Plug. The plug's got to go up. So, what did I just do with that bit of sticky tape? There. We stick the plug and that together. And that should allow me to be able to pull the plug out. But now we're going to do that all at once by ourselves. Well, I haven't worked that out yet. How am I going to lift that up by myself? Well, I haven't worked that out yet either. But it's going to happen. Okay. Miracles do happen. Miracles do happen. that is. Everything's heavy. Take that glass plate away from here. That was a bit of a challenge. Haha, like a glove. Okay, so how does all this work? Do we know how this works? Ah, easy. Oh, let's set it to 150 degrees and set it on normal oven, I suppose, and shut the door. See what happens. This should be working. Yep. There we go. And this is a pizza oven, yep. It's got everything in it. Fan oven, ordinary oven. What happens if you change that to fan oven then? I don't know. Anyway. In, out. Okay, fitted. Done. Now, if I made that look simple, well, that was quite simple, as it happens. Is that exactly right? It's perfect. Amazing. There you go. Oven. that's it. That's the end of another day. Thank you all for watching. If you like the content, give it a thumbs up. Subscribe if you're not already. I want to thank all the new subscribers. Over the moon. Chuffed to bits. We'll catch you on the next one. Bye for now.